right. So lastly, we got the advanced level. There's only really two here. One is well known, the other one not so much. But first up, the self-powered treadmill. These things sit around $7,000 to $10,000 each. The Woodway is the one I'm most familiar with, although I understand Assault Fitness, Air Runner. There's about four of them on the market now. I've seen them all the way down to $4,000. I don't know how good the quality is at that mark, but I know the Woodway is like a premier level treadmill. Anyways, these have the curves because they're self-powered, but people absolutely love these. And if you want to teach people to sprint, I think that's a great idea. Number one, nobody sprints, right? Especially adults. And so teaching them how to do that in small impulses, as in the last 5 minutes of a class twice a week, would be a good way to balance. Like, there's a lot of injury risk, but there's so much good that comes from it. Getting people to pursue that, it's a challenge. You got to teach them, but there's so much good that comes from that. And look, nobody's going to, unless they're playing softball with their buddies, nobody's going to sprint without coaching, right? These are great. There are some downsides. It takes some getting used to. I've seen plenty of people fly off the back of these things because they're not paying attention. For whatever reason, another good thing is that curve really makes you maintain good technique. And you'll see some of those videos on Instagram where somebody is absolutely flying on one of these. If that's the case, I think it's prudent to have you or your coach or whoever's working the class be behind at the end of the treadmill in case things go wrong. You can keep them from falling too hard. All right. So I think that's good. The downside with these is footprint's pretty big and they're expensive. Kirk Mason, who just absolutely is crushing it up there in Minot, North Dakota. I think he has 4 or 6 of these. And I think when I asked him, he said he probably would have cut the number in half. But he'd be a good guy to ask. He's a runner himself. So they if you're making that big of a purchase, $10, $20, $30,000 worth of equipment, it's probably worth asking a few questions. The last thing is the VersaClimber. This is something that got popular for a while and then seemed to fall off. But I love this. I mean, I love it in the most hated way possible. The VersaClimber is pretty awesome in the fact that it is a hard as hell workout. Think about bear crawling. If you've ever bear crawled, you know how difficult that is. Now flip it vertical and try and go up the face of a mountain. That's what this freaking feels like. It sucks. It's hard. The good news is it's incredibly effective. You do 3 or 4 20-second sprints on this thing. That counts as a session. You don't need to adjust it for different heights of patients or clients. You just throw them on there and they grab the handles. That's an advantage. Another advantage, it's teaching them or reinforcing that cross crawl pattern. Fantastic. And the little bit of forward lean here really seems to be the perfect balance between getting some weight on the joints and not being able to screw this exercise up. It's almost self-correcting. Be ready for people to just get smoked pretty damn quick though. Holy Moses. I really like the reinforcement of the cross crawl pattern that occurs with the VersaClimber. Here's the biggest downside. The last time I looked at these, they were about $7,500 a piece, maybe $8,000. And that's not even including shipping, which God, I hope they send it for free. But it's not a huge piece of equipment for $8,000. You're not getting a whole lot of use other than that intense cardio burst for $8,000. So consider that. It is pretty cool. You can stick them in a corner. They don't take up a whole lot of space, probably about as much as a rower, maybe a little bit more, but you can really put them in a corner. And if you get people using them, I've heard a few different people say, like Ben Greenfield, it's the hardest cardio workout he's ever done in his life. So it's awesome, works well, but expensive. So you can decide. Now, if you can find them on the, Facebook Marketplace or something like that, man, get after it. They are a hoot. All right. Well, if you got any questions, post them up in the Clinic Gym Hybrid discussion group. I hope this was useful. Love to continue this conversation on the group. I think it'd be great for everybody to discuss it. And, if you're running a few different pieces of cardio equipment, we'd love to hear from you. What have you learned? What would you redo? What are you glad you did? I think that's important. And also post your favorite equipment and make sure you post your square footage in the group. We'd love to hear about it. The reason I want you to post the square footage is it's easy to say, I have a bunch of treadmills if you have a bunch of space. But if you only had 400 square feet, would you have those treadmills? I don't know. So That's worth talking about. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for being here. I hope you like this. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let us know if you like these kind of webinars and if they're informative and useful. Throw up another idea you want us to kind of talk about. We're happy to help here at Clinic Gym Hybrid. With that, if you are opening a clinic gym, or you're adding a gym to an existing clinic, congratulations, you're on the right path. The research backs it up. The practice guidelines back it up. Exercise is the key to getting people better long-term, and I commend you for doing it. If we can help, hit me up at Josh@Clinic Gym Hybrid. Happy to help. All right. Oh, and if you haven't, check out our at clinicgymhybrid.com. We have live courses this year. One's coming up in St. Louis, Missouri, at Winchester Spine and Sport. That's Brett Winchester's place there. But join us for one of our live courses talking all about this model. What exercise should you do? What equipment should you buy? How should you lay out your gym? How do you train your staff? All that and more will be covered. We'd love to have you there. All right. Well, I am Dr. Josh Satterlee, and I will see you later. Thanks.
Thanks so much for checking out these videos. I hope they're useful. We'll cover things like rehab, exercise, business model, progressions, layout, everything else that helps you build a clinic. So if you're interested, you can click here, there to get more videos just like this.